First of all, the FES, we are a global organization, so we work with unions and labor organizations all over the world. The ITUC in general, so the ITUC Global is a natural ally. We work with the ITUC for many years so far. And also the, not sister organizations, but the regional offices of ITUC are our partner organizations. And there's a long history of cooperation between the TUCC, the Trade Union Competence Center, but also FES in general and the ITUC-Africa. We have had many joint programs together. One of it is the New Year School that we support on an annual basis in order to allow the affiliates of ITUC-Africa together for 1 week to discuss certain topics, to also give a mandate to the leadership of ITUC-Africa. We work together with the ITUC-Africa on different forms of workers' education. We are trying to support the ITUC-Africa in speaking or in actually uniting labor and uniting unions in Africa in order to be represented with one voice. And I would like to highlight one specific project that we've started, I think 5 or 6 years ago with the ITUC-Africa, which is on climate change and trade union responses to climate change. An issue which is not necessarily very high, or which used to be not necessarily very high on the list of priorities for ITUC-Africa's affiliates. So 5 years ago, I think it was Comrade Kwasi approaching the FES to support ITUC-Africa and ALRAI in getting an overview about where are the affiliates when it comes to climate change. If I remember correctly, 5 years ago there was only one union, one affiliate having a climate change policy. And due to the commitment of ITUC-Africa, I think up to now we have 6 affiliates with a climate change policy. That is something that we've supported. It is now, I think, the NLC in Nigeria, it is Kotuke, it is the CCTU of Zimbabwe, it used to be COSATU, that was the first one. It is FETUSA, and it will soon also be NACTU from South Africa. The main achievements of our collaboration, I mean, I would say one indicator is that the ITUC-Africa speaks on behalf of labor in Africa, and that the ITUC-Africa is capable of representing a unified labor movement in Africa. There is still a long way to go, but I would say in the last couple of years there has been a lot of progress. So the voice of African labor is heard at the ILO, for example, is heard at the ITUC in Brussels. And I would say this is somehow also due to the support of FES. But especially with regards to climate change, I think the fact that more and more affiliates are coming up with climate change policies, that's putting the rest of the affiliates under a bit of pressure, because it's obviously possible to deal with the issue on the ground. It is possible for unions, no matter what the circumstances are on the ground, to deal with the issue of climate change. And therefore I say one of the main advantages is that, from an ITUC perspective, that the FES is a long-term partner. We are not necessarily talking about activities only, but we are willing and able to engage on long-term projects. And I hope that at the end of the day, this will help the ITUC to become a stronger organization. I think the main challenge is that Africa is a huge continent, and that there are many different contexts within trade unions are operating, and that unions are coming from very different backgrounds. So discussing an issue like climate change with unions in West Africa is not necessarily something completely different, but it's definitely different from discussing the same issue with unions in Southern Africa or in South Africa. So I would say one of the major challenges that the ITUC as well as FES are facing is that unions are coming from different backgrounds, that unions all over Africa have different histories, and that they all operate within different contexts. But at the end of the day, I'm getting paid for overcoming those challenges, and I'm quite sure that Comrade Kwasi got elected to overcome such challenges as well, and therefore I'm rather an optimist than a pessimist.